this life turned out nothing like I had planned, and I have found that to be true, and I could not be happier that that is the case.
When I was 13, I was very excited to read the novel Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. That summer I checked it out from the library, walked home, and started reading. From the very beginning, it didn't make any sense. It was just incredibly boring. I kept reading until the end, thinking something exciting would eventually happen. But it never did. Maybe if I read it again, all these years later, as an adult, with experiencing inside, I'd be able to understand it for sure. Can't risk it though.
I try not to expect very much in life. I guess I approach situations with not much pretense, but I guess I would say that I expect the sun to rise every day, and I expect my beers to be cold, and my bed to be warm. My expectations for myself are to try to be the best person I can be there for people and friends that I can help, and to challenge myself creatively.
I expect your attention when I'm speaking to you, despite dividing my own attention all day long. I expect to learn or try to understand why something failed or ended or went wrong. But I realize now that the why is really relevant, and in fact, most of the time, the why is a lie. I expect you not to expect me to read your mind, though I do expect you to read mine. I expect you to tell me the truth, I really do. So long as it doesn't humiliate me.
I can't really remember ever expecting anything from animals, but like watching my cat breathe, or the way my dog squeaks when he yawns, and like endless other things about so many creatures has given me so much joy in my life. Two people that I would consider to be both best friends and also biggest mentors changed my life and my ideas of work and creativity in ways that I could never have expected, and that I'll always think about. It's kind of tricky to have expectations, whether you're working in a professional kitchen or you're a home cook. I think what's more important is like values, principles, because something's always gonna break or spill, and that's alright. And something might come out way better than you thought it was going to.
So when I was like 20 or so, I got really into making those like copycat recipes from fast food restaurants. And like you could make the salad from Olive Garden or whatever. And one I really liked was the Pizza Hut pizza, pepperoni pan pizza. And anyway, so I spent the entire day getting everything. Like I made the dough, I made the sauce. I would have milked the cows if I could to get the exact juice. I did everything they said. Put the oil, 3 tablespoons of oil in the pan. There's so much oil. And anyway, I spent like 8 hours on this, and finally comes out of the oven, and I take a bite, and it's just inedible. It's like a salt lick. And what happened was I had used garlic salt instead of garlic powder. And let me tell you, Pizza Hut pan pizza has a lot of garlic powder.
I'm thinking about reflecting on my expectations. And it's kind of messing me up a little bit. So I'm really thinking about it. I took this new job 3 years ago, working remote, flexible, and the expectation there was to have more financial freedom and to be able to travel around and work wherever and just kind of be free, freedom. And I did not expect the isolation coming up on 3 years here. And I've definitely taken advantage of it. No partner, no kids, so I feel like I have almost the responsibility to take advantage of that situation. So, built out my car and traveled around for weeks and months at a time, camping, couch surfing, Colorado, and stayed on a farm in Pennsylvania for a month, and all trying to find working spaces to do stuff. It's like overcompensating for the isolation of it, just trying to do cool stuff. But 32 years old, growing up in rural Midwest, the expectation there, and I expected of myself to, be married and have kids and be more settled down. I still have that expectation of myself to be settled, to be fulfilled in work and in love and in life. I don't know. So I'm just gonna not keep my expectations too high. Don't want to set myself crazy.
Uma expectativa que eu tinha foi quando eu vim para os Estados Unidos. Pensei que $100 por dia era bastante dinheiro, porque em Portugal isso é bastante dinheiro. E quando cheguei aqui, percebi que $100 por dia não dava para nada. Portanto, andava a comer pizzas de $1 e tinha que fazer freelance.
I'm in love right now, and I never thought that I would be in love with someone and walk away from something. The expectation when I was young was that if you loved someone very much and they were in love with you, that you could figure everything out. That was, you had it cracked. You had the special ingredient to make and do anything. And I didn't take into account that maybe it's not enough, that you love someone very much and they love you, and then your futures for yourselves look different, and you can't both exist at the same time together. It's very disappointing. And it seems stupid. It seems so stupid because, I could die tomorrow.
I never expected that I'd be the person who caused a car accident. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but it was a really jarring experience that really changed my perspective, shifted sort of the way I think about things.
I expect miracles. I expect kisses. I expect you to answer the phone. And I expect the worst things.
I guess having been through a bunch of mental health issues, I think I had the expectation when I got older, I would also get wiser and my own kind of mental health would improve. And I think I'm finding that expectation is not accurate, and a little disappointed in myself for not meeting my own expectation and confronting the reality.
My life, it seems, is a slew of misguided expectations that none of them were actually met. But they all were necessary in getting me out the door, maybe. Necessary in moving me forward and teaching me adaptation. Maybe that's the biggest lesson that I learned from all. Expectations like maybe built from curiosity, that you want to see what's happens if you try something. But I think on the other end of it is adaptation, which is you desperately need in order to survive, because my experience takes all the fun out if you don't.
For a job interview, and on Saturday night when I was driving to my partner's apartment, passing by buildings on the West Side Highway that are becoming more familiar. She's not here either, and I expect that if I just accomplish some next big milestone or rearrange my life enough, she'll resurface.
I'm in my hometown, so I didn't know what I was going to do for the 4th. My friend said that we should come down to his family's farm in Dunlap, Tennessee. Didn't really have expectations, I just wanted to get out of my childhood room. So we get down there, they've got these set up. They've got basically a hotel in a barn. Pond stocked with fish, river we can fish and swim in, pool, chickens, cows, and they just got married, so they have 2 full fridges of beer. And in fact, they were like, please drink as much of this beer as you can. It felt like I made it up. Expectations blown out of the water, me in the water.
Thinking about expectations, lots of instances where they were not met. And there probably are instances where they are too. And the fact that I can't recall those as quickly kind of tells you the bigger issue at hand, which I think that's the point is doing the things that we do, from like an art standpoint and a commerce standpoint. I just think it's really easy to put really big expectations on ourselves. I know for me, I compare myself constantly to other filmmakers and, what their career trajectories look like. And if you know this, it's not even out of the quest to feel, uber successful or anything like that. It's just that the metrics for success are around us. So you can't not feel the weight of those expectations when you're trying to make the best work that you can, even if you're just purely doing it because you love the work and you love the process. So I think that's the big one for me. It's just a constant battle to remind myself that a lot of the expectations and stress that I put on myself is not warranted.
At 36, I expected to be still best friends with my soulmate husband. and I still am. But also at 36, I expected to have a kid with my soulmate husband. And I did not expect to be a childless, single lesbian. But here we are.
So I expect peaceful days and restful sleep. I expect that if someone I love and trust tells me a restaurant, movie, or destination is going to be great, that it's great. I expect that my dog is always going to poop and pee outside, no more accidents. I expect that my girlfriend is always going to love me, even when I might seem unlovable. I expect that my landlords aren't going to raise my rent every year, even though I know that to be untrue. I expect that people will always be good and never evil. I expect when a label says the food is organic, it means it's organic. I expect when I take a photograph on film, my exposure and composition will always be nailed. I expect that everyone I meet will appreciate and love me. And finally, I expect when I go to a burger joint that says best burger, it probably won't mean that.
So one expectation I have for my life that I'm not looking forward to is that I expect to be in the hospital at some point. Maybe a little thing, maybe a big thing, but probably at some point I'll have to go to the hospital. And something's gonna happen there, like no surgery. Got something stuck somewhere, I don't know. But it's gonna be a big bummer. I think it's the last time I went to the doctor. It wasn't a hospital, but just a regular checkup. And I got my blood taken. I passed out and found out I kind of had like a needle phobia. I'll probably get needles in the hospital. So I've been thinking about that a lot.
Coming from a pretty volatile, emotionally charged childhood with my family life, I expected that in my adult life, relationships would feel chaotic and scary. And as I got older and met my partner and his family, I realized, oh, things can be peaceful and loving and not full of ups and downs and walking on eggshells constantly. And so my expectations of what I thought my adult life would be have been blown out of the water thanks to people who have great emotional skills. And I'm very grateful for that. And I'll also say, I thought at age 40 I'd have a dishwasher by now, but I'd much rather take, living in California over a dishwasher.
Expectations are planned resentments, and it's taken me a long time to kind of come to that. I think most of my life, anytime I've had expectations, it's just been a breeding ground for disappointment or resentment or bad communication or confusion. So these days I try to not have expectations as much as possible. I just don't expect anything from anybody ever. And it kind of rocks, because then when people meet the invisible expectation that you might have, I'm just pleasantly surprised. I'm just tickled. I love it.
Expectations in my life, and obviously there's the happiness equation, right? Your reality has to be greater than your expectations, otherwise you're unhappy. I think the clearest missed expectation I have would be that I thought I would have more days with my mom. Thinking about her missed expectations of what she thought her life would look like, in the interactions that she would have with her grandchildren that she never got to have, I think makes me really sad. I think that I try to refocus on the positive things, like the life that she lived when she was here, and all of the happy times that I got to have with her, and I think that helps a lot. But I think my mom lived in such a way that she attached herself to so many people that her absence left just a big gaping hole.
I had an online therapist named me twice. I guess my expectations were really good for that one. My expectations are always met at IFC Automotive on Hillhurst. I was expecting my ankle surgery to be about 3 months. And it's been about 3 months, and I was just told today that it's about 3 months. So it's not really, the expectations, I guess, weren't met. I guess I had on my ankle, perhaps making modern medicine.
I think the main expectation that I have in my life these days is that it's sustainable. So like, not working too much, but also working on things that I enjoy, and balancing time in the studio with time with my family, and then also time at the beach. And I think keeping those things in check keeps me sane, because if I don't have that balance, and if I don't like expect that balance so that I can tell people, you know, and work at 4:30 today so I can go pick up my kids from school, things go to shit. So yeah, the biggest expectation is just sustainability.
Expectations in life. Well, I can easily remember one where I didn't meet my expectations. In 2004, the Red Sox swept the Cardinals in 4 games. That was not only not meeting my expectations, but also a real gut punch, as you so well remember. Meeting my expectations after working so many years, I always had the expectation of making a difference. And although it's like a grain in the sand in the grand scale of things. I think I did. And I have no regrets from that standpoint. Another expectation for me has been for both my sons to achieve success and do well in life and be able to take care of themselves and support themselves and support anyone else that's with them. And I truly believe at this moment in time, both my sons have truly met my expectations for them, and not only being able to care for themselves, but being happy with life and having joy in their lives with their friends.
I expected more. I expected to be different. I expected to be more successful, famous even. I expected to have it figured all out. I expected to not have to work so hard. I expected to catch a break. I expected to feel less alone. What I didn't expect is to one day be okay with all of that. I didn't expect to be happy with little. I didn't expect to not care that I'm not famous. I didn't expect to like my life despite all my unmet expectations. I didn't expect to learn that my expectations often stole my joy and left me paralyzed.
Relearning language comes with a lot of expectations that you set for yourself. I started the process of relearning Vietnamese a few years ago, hoping that I could move past my elementary proficiency and then be able to hold deeper and more meaningful conversations with my grandmother. I was able to improve my skills with a tutor for a while, but then I had to set my lessons aside because of work. From there, I never picked my progress back up. My time with my grandmother grows shorter, and so does our time to be able to converse and grow more deeply with one another. So I guess this is an expectation I feared not being able to meet.
One big one is that I think the way we're told that the world works in school, I kind of thought there would be a point growing up where people would know what they're doing and be really competent and sure of what they're supposed to be up to. And as I've gotten older, it seems like most people kind of don't know what they're doing. It's not their fault, but yeah, that really, I didn't expect, I kind of just imagined there was a level where everyone had it sorted out. It seems like no one knows what they're doing.
I usually like to protect myself by keeping my expectations low and my hopes high. Yeah, I expect that I'm going to finally find some good Indian food in Los Angeles. Really big city, where's the good Indian food? Come on. I expect that I'm going to file my taxes late. I kind of do it every year. I expect also that I'm going to get a canker sore at some point in the next 3 weeks, maybe sooner. They keep coming. I also expect at some point in my life I'm going to finish a round of golf under par. Best score ever, 73. One away from par. But at some point, I just hope I can get there. Cross that threshold. I also, this is a bit lofty, but I expect at some point I'm going to write a screenplay. And that screenplay will probably be pretty mediocre. And then I will probably put that mediocre screenplay into a drawer somewhere and never think about it again. But, you got a dream. I also expect I'm going to have kids. Not sure when. The clock's kicking. But I've always thought I was going to have kids. And so I'm going to keep that expectation on the old list.
When I think about expectations, I think about the surprise ones that we didn't know we had. The moment in life when I've shared something with someone and their response fell short of what I thought they would do, or the times when I thought, this is going to win or succeed or move me forward, and then nothing has really changed. Or even the times when people have really surprised me in their efforts and intentions. I wrote a goodbye letter to someone I loved, hoping that whatever left of whatever expectations I had left for them and for myself would somehow dissipate, and the grief over this relationship would ease. And I had to have such a conversation with myself about what I was expecting from writing this letter. I had to tell myself I can't expect anything back. This letter has to be a goodbye. It has to be a cutting of the thread. It has to be for me so that I can feel sane again and stand on my own 2 feet and move forward. And I really did think I had no expectations of response at all, really, because I'd had this whole big talk with myself. And when I received a text message a couple days later about the contents of my letter being processed by the reader, there was that expectation. That sneak attack of what does this mean? That's it? I wrote 4 pages, And that's what is really tricky about expectations. It reveals nothing. It's just a narrative. They don't reveal that the person on the other side is also grieving, that they miss me as much as I miss them, that they are really thinking, how do I meet my own expectations and hers? Expectations are like such a downfall of a present moment. They don't take into context time or what could come, or that maybe in 4 months there could be a reconciliation. They can't tell me in that moment that my expectations would actually be exceedingly met in a very surprising way. They can't tell me that, later this person, having read my goodbye letter, would come back.
Anytime that I've put new music out into the world, whether it's a new album or a new song or whatever, that it never meets my expectations. I probably couldn't even tell you what expectations I place on it. Well, if it could only do this thing, or if it could only accomplish this, or whatever, it just never meets the expectations that I place on it. That's probably a bad thing. Just making the thing should be enough, or just putting it out into the world regardless of what happens to it should be enough. But I always put all these hopes, wishes for it, even if I'm not trying to, somewhere in the back of my mind I put these expectations on it, and inevitably it never meets them.
I used to have these expectations that, at a certain point, life would just click. I wake up one day and suddenly feel like an adult with a clear path and an idea of who and what I was. But if anything, it just feels more layered now. There's no final version of me. It's just expectations, I feel like, can be tricky. They can give us like something to aim for, like these goals, but they can also set us up to miss what's actually going on around us. Like a lot of the expectations I had when I was younger were around these big kind of milestones I thought would happen. That would be one of the, but it seems like all of those just kind of slipped away. But the things that I didn't expect, like a random conversation or a hug from a loved one, like those are the things that end up being more meaningful than the stuff that I planned for, I looked at when I was younger. So maybe expectations are just these things that we create for ourselves to make the chaos feel more manageable. But the stuff that happens when those expectations fall apart, that's the real stuff.
Philosopher Seneca, wherein he said, "The greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today. You are arranging what is in fortune's control and abandoning what lies in yours." Looking back, telling my younger self, I wish I had known, that simple distillation of the thought of living in the moment, because, for better or worse, I don't really find myself having met any of those expectations I had for myself, my younger self. But again, I couldn't really care less because I've lived a full, rich life and still, and hopefully still will.
I think I always expect more. I've expected to be God. I've expected to be the best. I expect perfection. I expect way more of myself than I probably of anybody else. And that's always contradicting inside because I also am trying to be nice to myself, but I think I set these expectations because I'm afraid of failing. I expected no one to show up tonight, but my expectations have been met, exceeded by everyone's honesty and openness. And I don't think I'm saying anything that hasn't been said at this point. But yeah, thank you all for coming. And